Hi, everyone. Welcome to our last recorded content lecture, I believe. So this is a brief video to review, to reflect, if you will, on these ideas of reflection and transfer. I'm really just going to go through and I've drawn a lot of my points here from our discussion board from week 8. So this will just be helpful for you to maybe reflect, review what we learned about transfer in that week, and maybe make some sense of it if you still weren't quite sure what this was all about when you were doing the reading in week 8. Our goals here are to answer three pretty achievable questions. What is transfer? That seems important to define it. Why are we focusing on it in this course? Why do other courses perhaps focus on it? What's transfer? Why are we trying to achieve it? Why are we promoting it, as Carrillo says? And lastly, how? Hopefully we'll build this case to show you what transfer is, why it matters, and how we can achieve it. This isn't rocket science. What is transfer? Well, we get, transfer is not just something, this doesn't belong to the writing studies discipline. This is, if you have education classes, I'm sure you've heard of transfer before. This is education theory, right? Not just writing studies theory. So we get a definition from a couple of psychologists. We read this in Carrillo. Transfer are instances in which learning in one context or with one set of materials impacts on performance in another context or with other related materials. In other words, it's when you use something, when you learn something in one context, and then you can draw on, you can rely on that information, that knowledge, that ability in another context. So a pretty simple concept, and one that many of us were able to reflect upon our own educational history and find these ideas of knowledge that we learned transferring from, one more rudimentary class to a more advanced class. I think a lot of us went to the examples of mathematics, right? Well, first we learned to add and subtract, then we learned to use subtraction when we are doing long division, right? It's a fundamental idea for how education builds, right? So that's what it is. I might have showed my hand a little bit in the last slide. Why should we focus on it? Why should we promote it? Well, as I just said, we can think of the math example. We need to have a foundation. We need to know how to subtract so that we can use that subtraction in long division. Why focus on it? Why promote it? Carrillo is really, the title of this piece it comes from a book called Bad Ideas About Writing, transfer happens easily. What that means is that in that book, all of the titles are antithetical to the piece. In other words, Carrillo doesn't think, research suggests that transfer doesn't happen easily or automatically. So it's a little bit of a confusing title because it's antithetical. But right, all research that has been done on this, right? I'll go to Carrillo here. Research corroborates that students don't automatically transfer what they've learned about writing from one class into the next. So the key word here is automatically. Transfer is not impossible, but it shouldn't be taken for granted. It seems natural. It seems natural that we will teach students to add, and then whenever that is a process that's needed in advanced multiplication, that they'll be able to draw on that. However, research has shown that it takes more attention, it takes more focus. So why focus on it? Why promote it? Because otherwise it can slip through our fingertips. It takes a certain attention to these ideas of transferring knowledge to achieve them. And again, you'll notice we're not even talking about writing yet. These are just educational ideas. How do we promote it? Um, well, Carrillo says what we have to do. It doesn't happen naturally for all of us. Um, Curricula. I think many of us have had a class where we take our final exam. We we maybe unload all of the material that we sort of memorized for the final, and we walk away, and we never encounter that information again. There, how do we promote transfer? Well, there's kind of two answers to this. Curricularly, we should all be doing what this course does, I think, and ending the term by reflecting and saying, okay, here's what I learned. That's what curricula can do. What you can do as students is one, right, of course, reflect on what we've learned and even anticipate where else it might be useful for people to transfer that knowledge to other situations, since it will not automatically transfer. So we can make you reflect, and we are making you reflect. And I can also ask you to anticipate future situations in which you might transfer some of the knowledges and skills from this course. In fact, that's that's the question I'm going to leave you with. I want you to we're going to end this lesson with you thinking about that question. But once you leave Writing 122, it's in your hands. I cannot be there, for instance, when you're in your psychology 400 class and the teacher isn't able to explain to you what good writing looks like in psychology. Hopefully, I won't be there. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I won't be there, but hopefully you will have reflected on Writing 122 and you can think, um, this psychology teacher can't tell me what good writing is, but I should be able to look at I've assessed real world writing situations before to determine what their conventions are. I can look at the genre of the psychology research paper and adapt myself. I can transfer that knowledge to future writing situations. And I'm just going to come out and say it here. If I haven't made it clear yet, that is the entire goal of the design of this course. It is all focused around transfer. You'll realize that's why we're not, we're not writing, we're not writing an opinion piece and then following that up with a compare and contrast issue. We are understanding writing in the way that writing scholars understand it, so that we can assess and assimilate to new writing situations in the future. I can't teach you to write like a microbiologist. I don't know how to write like a microbiologist. I can't teach you to write like a philosophy. Maybe I could. Maybe philosophy I could do. I can't teach you to write like a computer programmer. I don't know what is valued in their writing. But what you do have now is the ability to answer that question yourself. You can take these ideas, apply them to new future writing situations, and succeed. That's what this course is all about. So, just to sort of look back on it, what's the process here? One, how do we make sure we don't leave these ideas behind? Writing 121 and 122 ostensibly are about preparing you to write in the university. That's why it's so important that you're able to take these ideas and apply them to new real-world rhetorical writing situations in which you find yourself. How do we do that? Step one, know what you know. Be metacognitive. Step one is for us to make sure we know what we learned in this class. Step two is to recognize in new writing situations when we can draw on that concept. For instance, step one, well, I understand that, genre really shapes expectations of papers. So step two, if I'm getting really bad grades on writing a psychology type published research paper, that means I don't fully understand the genre. I can bring that draw on that concept of genre theory in that future writing situation. And then step 3 is sort of intertwined, right? Use what you know. Real simple. Know what you know. Know if the new writing situation requires or would be benefited by what you know. And step 3, use it, apply it. Okay, those are that's a little bit more detail, but really this idea of transfer is based on step 1, reflecting, being really sure about what we know, being metacognitive. That is to say, to knowing what we know. That's what we can provide you in 122. That's what we're providing here at the end of 122. As your academic journey continues, it's really I really truly do. We at First Year Writing here at WU really truly do hope that you've been prepared to encounter any new writing situation, whether it's academic, whether it's professional, whether it's you branching out to write your first movie review, right? We have the power, the knowledge now to assess what makes for good, helpful, useful writing in any rhetorical situation. That's the power that you should be imparted with at the end of this term. So in order to get you thinking, in order to get you to anticipate the situations in which you might use your newly found writing knowledge and your newly found writing abilities. This is all just reflection. We know what transfer is now. We know how to promote it, and we know why we promote it, and we know how. This is the question I want to leave you with. You know what you know now, or you really will know by the end of this course with our final reflective portfolio. So I want to ask you now, what are some future situations into which you might transfer some of the knowledge, some of the skills, some of the abilities of this course? You might just end this video and walk away, but I truly do hope you will kind of mull this over as you're walking away, because this is the best way right now we can prepare and ensure that our knowledge in this class wasn't all for vain. This is the best way we can ensure that you can actually take these ideas, these concepts, this knowledge, these practices, and transfer them usefully, of course, to writing situations, probably in your very near future. So think about it. Be specific. What are some of the skills and knowledges that we have? And maybe even think about next term. How do you think you might use these to guide you in your coming writing adventures, in the writing situations that you're going to be in, perhaps in a month? In January, you're going to be in another class. I'm going to assume that it's going to require some writing. So what can we use from this class in that class? Think about it.